In March of 1974, a man was found dead and alone in the men's restroom at New York's Penn Station. It took the police 3 days to figure out who he was. Little did they know that this forgotten man was actually one of the greatest architects of the 20th century. In addition to creating some of America's most poetic buildings, this person also changed the architectural destiny of India forever. And chances are, you wouldn't recognize his name either. Now, if you know who I'm talking about, let me know your guess in the comments. And before I tell you why this person mattered, follow Tall Stories if you enjoy discovering the hidden side of design. His name was Louis Kahn, and he had just returned to New York from a long journey to India. There he was working on his magnum opus, the Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad, a building that would become home to some of India's greatest minds. And simultaneously in Dhaka, he was still crafting a new parliament building for a country that did not even exist when he began the project. Now, when you think about modern architecture, you probably imagine concrete boxes and sleek glass buildings. But Kahn wanted architecture to be much more sensual, more dramatic, and more human. While other modernists were rejecting the baggage of the past, Kahn was studying it deeply. He didn't just copy ancient monuments. Instead, he tried to capture their essence. He sketched the ancient ruins of Egypt, Europe, and Asia to understand what makes buildings feel eternal, and as though they truly belonged to a place. He understood one of architecture's most sacred materials, daylight, that the way the sun dances across a wall changes the way it feels, making buildings feel less like static objects and more like something alive. The sad part is that unlike the other masters of architecture, Louis Kahn never became a household name. He was already in his 50s before he found the architectural language that would define him. And most of the buildings for which he is remembered today were designed during the final 2 decades of his life. But he influenced more buildings and more architects than we give him credit for. At IIM, he took ordinary domestic brick and made it feel monumental. Then he taught a generation of Indian architects that we didn't need to look to the past to create a new Indian architecture, and nor did we have to look to the West to create work that felt uniquely modern. Louis Kahn was 73 when he died on the floor of that Penn Station restroom. The old Penn Station, once one of America's grandest buildings, had already been demolished and replaced by a new underground station. Ironically, Kahn, who had spent his life studying how daylight could make architecture feel eternal, died underground in this windowless basement. But in a way, he was immortalized in the contemplative symmetry of the Salk Institute, the serene reflections of the Dhaka Assembly Building, and the monumental brick walls of IIM Ahmedabad. And every time sunlight breaks across their surfaces, you can still hear Kahn speak. Now let me know in the comments if you've ever visited one of Kahn's buildings and what it felt like to be there. Follow Tall Stories if you enjoy uncovering the forgotten stories behind the places and the cities around us.